So welcome to Ignite Spark Session 18, Negotiate Offers. My name is Sarah Sanosi. I keep hearing a dinging sound. I'm not sure if we can maybe turn that off. Sorry, it's a little distracting. So again, my name is Sarah Sanosi. I'm with Keller Williams Cupertino. A little bit about myself. I've been in real estate for 9 years. I've been a licensed realtor for 9 years. And I've been at this same market center for 9 years. I also, I sit on the district council for Region 9 for Silvar, which is our region, Cupertino, Santa Clara, and Sunnyvale. I also have a background in environmental management as well as law and policy. And I work full-time, kind of a hybrid right now with Apple. So I'm sort of like a hybrid agent where I'm full-time and then I'm also in the tech space. So I get a kind of the best of both worlds. Along with that, I'm also a mentor. I've been a mentor for over 7 years. I was invited to join the mentorship program in productivity coaching. So hopefully some of you newer agents, I'll be able to meet with you. And if you guys have any questions about compliance, I'm happy to help in any way I can. So I see this room is kind of small right now, but if you want to go ahead and give an introduction to yourself, let's kind of go around the room and get to know one another. I think that's the best way to do this since we're back in Zoom land. Is it Min?
Hi, Sarah. My name is Min. I'm a new real estate agent at Keller Williams, Silicon City, and I'm here just to learn and the practices of the new agents.
Awesome. Welcome in. How long have you been? You said you just recently licensed?
Yes, I've been licensed for only 2 months so far.
Oh, wow. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome. I'm sure there's so much you're kind of like taking in right now. I remember being a newer agent and it was like you're drinking from like a fire hydrant. It's just like a lot of information. But, you know, it's also really good that I think Keller Williams is one of the places where you can get the best training and, you know, build your foundation for your business. So welcome. Do you have any like questions right off the bat or experiences you want to share so far?
Not really. I'm just here to, like learn how the process works. Because right now, for me, the process is still very blurry. Walking through the whole process with the client is, I need to get the hang of that.
Sure. Yes, that's the goal here. Definitely getting systems in place is really important as a newer agent. And once you get those systems in place, then you can pretty much work with any client and then just use those systems and be able to, you know, go through the entire process. So that's a great point that you brought up. So thank you so much for the introduction. I think more people are going to trickle in as we get the class running. So again, this is Ignite Session 18, Negotiate Offers. So today we're going to cover negotiations. One little piece of information I forgot to share about myself, which is probably one of the most like interesting things I like to share, is that I am a certified negotiation expert. I received my certification in 2018 from Stanford School of Business, the executive program. And I would highly encourage anyone who's interested in wanting to like kind of further or like add to your business acumen, add it to your resume. Negotiations is what we do every day in life. So I would highly recommend, you know, getting some more training if you're interested in doing that. Berkeley also has a program. It's all online. I think they do have an in-person and online, but if you want to know more about that, we can talk about that later. So yeah, I am a certified negotiation expert. So if you want to go ahead and switch to the next slide, sorry about that. So today's course overview, we're going to be, oh, go ahead.
Hi, good morning. This is Brushali.
Oh, sorry.
One quick question regarding the negotiation expert you mentioned. I
Yeah.
believe California Association of Realtors, they also offer some certification related to negotiation, CNE, I believe. So how it is different than the one
Oh,
you...
yes. And so my apologies. I'm not really watching the room. So I have my virtual assistant watching. So is it Vershali? Would you like to?
Trishali, yes, yeah.
Yeah, Vershali, could you go ahead and give an introduction? And yes, I'll definitely answer your question. I apologize.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Sure. This is Prishali. I am with the Keller Williams Santa Clara Valley office. I joined in July last year, but I was working with some other brokerage prior to that. So since you brought up about the certification you have from Stanford, I just wanted to understand the difference between the one offered by the educational institutes like Stanford, Berkeley, versus the one offered by the California Association of Realtors or National Association of Realtors.
Correct. That's a great question. So I'm not exactly certain of all the differences between the actual certification. I do know, being from an accredited university and a school of business executive program, that it's it's a national certification. I don't know that much about the one through the association, like through SCORE or Silvar. What I can do is since I am on the district council, I can reach out and get more information about it if you're interested. Or there's also resources I know online that they may be able to answer your question. But to tell you the truth, I just know about the one that I received. And it's, it's standard. It can be used anywhere. And it's also, it's highly accredited, that from a distinguished university. I think maybe that's the main difference. But to your point, I would definitely reach out to maybe the one through SCORE or Silvar and see, exactly what is different about their program. I haven't taken one through there, so.
Sure. Thank you. I just wanted to see whether it is more oriented towards real estate business, the one that is offered by Clara, and whether Stanford or Berkeley, is it more generic one?
Oh, I see. Yeah. So I think the one through the one offered through CAR is going to be directed more heavily towards real estate, whereas the one that's a great point that you brought up. The one that I took, it was sort of like a project management program, and you definitely can take the things from that program and use it in real estate. But I think it was more business directed, if that answers your question.
Yeah,
either program I think would be great for you. So
sure, definitely.
Yes.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, so let's jump right in. So this class is about an hour and a half. I typically just kind of set some guidelines. Since we're such a smaller group, we can go ahead and make it more of like an open discussion. I like to be more interactive. Usually I'm teaching this in person, so it's, a different interaction. So if you have questions that are pertaining to the content and the information, feel free to just raise your virtual hand, or if I don't see it, go ahead and unmute yourself and just say, hey, I have a question. That's perfectly fine. If there are questions that are not directly related to the information, then we can hold those and we'll kind of have like a Q&A towards the end, and then some role play as well. So that's kind of how I like to structure the class. But if you ever have questions, just please raise your hand and feel free to, share any ahas you may have too. So great. So today we're going to cover negotiations. So before we begin, I want to kind of do some housekeeping. Let's hear about your daily success systems from yesterday. I know some of you newer agents are doing the daily success systems. Who can tell me what the daily success systems are, or if you even know what they are? If you don't, that's fine. We can go over those. So since you guys may not know, the daily success systems are your part of your lead generation. So it's like writing 10 handwritten cards, putting 10 new contacts into your database, and I believe reaching out or having 10 conversations. You can find, if you're in productivity coaching, I know they definitely go over that. But if we want to know more about that, we can definitely I don't want to get too much into that, but we can definitely talk about that later in the class. So I just kind of wanted to see where everybody's at with that. So let's kind of go right in here since we have a smaller group. So looking at our agenda for today, getting myself on the right slide here. So today we're going to cover what negotiations are. We're going to go over the 3 P's of negotiation, which are prepare, present, and position, and tips for successful negotiations. So by the end of today, all of you should be able to, number 1, explain, be able to negotiate offers, use the 3 P's approach to negotiation, and be able to use those skills moving forward with your business. So instead of, it says here to find a partner and for 5 minutes, have a conversation and questions, we're just gonna do it as a group, because like I said, we have a smaller group and we can do it just, with us here. So take a couple minutes and kind of think about what negotiation means to you and what you want to get out of this course. And then I'll call on somebody if you don't want to go ahead and volunteer to speak up and share what you want to get out of this course. Does anybody know does anyone not know what a negotiation is or needs help with the meaning of that?
Maybe it'd be better to just ask what each of us negotiated today thus far. I can share.
Oh, okay. There's more people. So Carol, introduce yourself. And then if you want to tell me what you feel what a negotiation is to you, that would be great.
Oh, well, hi, everybody. My name is Carol. I am relatively new to the Keller Williams Cupertino or Keller Williams Thrive office. I just thought it'd be fun. I know, Sarah, you're really trying to get us all to kind of warm up. So let me turn myself on cam. Hold on a second.
Yeah, if everybody put their cameras on, that would be great.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me just move to another place. So let me just turn it on. Oops, I can't turn it on.
It's okay.
I can't turn it on. I think we all do negotiation every day. I think the first negotiation I did this morning was to convince my child to eat her vegetables before breakfast. And I think that's just just an example of how you can flex your negotiation muscles in every interaction in your life. So that's, that's how I see negotiation is.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, we think about it. Thank you, Carol, and welcome aboard. And just a quick housekeeping thing. I want to make sure everybody has a participants guide because that's really key to your success today. So anyone who doesn't, the virtual assistant Abigail is dropping them in the chat. And also please make sure that you grab a role play script guide if you don't have it, or it may be the participants guide. I don't have a copy of it, so I'm relying on you to be able to find that information. So great. Going back to what Carol's saying. Yeah, we negotiate every day. I mean, negotiating with children, and I have experience with that as well, is probably sometimes the most challenging because, kids are very firm and they remember everything you say. They hold you to your word. So yeah, we negotiate every day. If we think about it, anytime you have a conversation with someone, anytime you're walking into a listing appointment, a buyer's consultation, even just making an appointment, something as simple, right? As making an appointment, we're negotiating. So we see it every day. So I like this quote. If you could go to the next slide. Here we go to the next slide. Oh, there we go. Perfect. It says negotiating is not something to be avoided or feared. It is an everyday part of life. So I wanted to kind of ask you guys, what are some of your limiting beliefs around negotiations? Like when you hear that word, does it make you nervous? Does it kind of make you sweat or tingle or like cringe?
Yeah, I
Hi,
think
this
it's,
is Prashant. Sorry.
I think it's definitely when I don't have a lot of leverage, the negotiation is hard for on my end. Like, how do you win a negotiation, or how you make the situation more advantageous to you when you don't have a lot of information or to leverage?
Exactly. I think that was Min who said that. Yeah, exactly. When you feel like you don't have a bargaining tool, or like you said, leverage, and you feel like, okay, this could go really one-sided, right? That could possibly make you nervous and make you feel like you don't have fair play within the negotiation. Great, thank you. Does anybody else have thoughts or feelings around hearing the word negotiation or knowing that they're walking a negotiation?
It's negotiations. Many times we think from winning, one party winning perspective. We generally do not pay attention to both parties winning. So it's like, who is trying to overpower the other party? That's the mindset many times we have when we are on negotiating table.
Yes, thank you, Vishali. Yeah, exactly. You know, sometimes you just feel like it could go either way and you're not really sure where that you're not walking in with a lot of certainty. So so who's ever bought a car and had to like negotiate with a car? I think most of us have, but and if you have, was it a good experience or a bad? Did you get what you wanted, or did you feel like you're kind of like you got? Feel free to just shout out.
Yeah, I think when I bought my car, I didn't really know how to how to look at the car, so it's hard to like negotiate with the dealer.
Well,
Exactly. Go ahead.
This is if you can hear me.
Mm-hmm.
So my experience with negotiation in car buying is that you need to do a little bit research, knowing what you want and knowing what the general market would be going for, the price. And so when you come into the dealer, of course, they have their goal too. So they will come up with some number. But if you stay home based on your research and knowledge, then you usually can get what you want at the price you want.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you for that, Mai. Exactly. So she said something key there. She said, doing your research, knowing what to expect before you walk in, and knowing what you need to do and how you're going to respond if you hear or if you're presented with certain information. So all of those things are key. So thank you. Thank you for those who shared. So if we could go to the next slide. So negotiation is an important part of a real estate agent's job. In Ignite, you've learned through NAR statistics, I believe it's the previous slide. You've learned through NAR statistics that real estate agents' ability to negotiate is one of the top reasons why buyers and sellers look for an agent to help them out with their search. So we know this, right? I mean, buyers don't really need our help to go on, Zillow or realtor.com or whatever platform they're using to search for homes, right? They want to hire you or work with you because you're supposed to be able to negotiate the very best offer for them. A listing agent doesn't, well, they probably do need someone to list their home. They're also looking for someone who's going to negotiate the highest and best price for their home. So great. So if we look at the next slide, negotiation is a bargaining process, and bargaining is a give and take. I think someone mentioned that earlier. It's a give and take between two or more parties, each with its own aims, needs, and viewpoints. Everyone involved is seeking to discover common ground and reach an agreement to settle a matter or mutual concern or resolve a conflict. So negotiation is where one of our WI4C 2TES plays a big role. So which one of the WI4C 2TES, that's a tongue twister, is plays the biggest role in negotiation? Who can just shout out? If you guys don't know what our little, also call it our motto, because it's such a long acronym. It's there up on the slide. It's win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing, customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication, seek first to understand, creativity, ideas before results, teamwork, together, everyone achieves more, trust starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, and success results through people. So that's our cornerstone of Keller Williams. So who can just shout out which one of these kind of embodies negotiation? There's, and there's really no like wrong answer if you're feeling that way.
Communication.
Communication is good. Yeah, that's definitely, you want to have, whoever shouted that out, sorry, I'm not really paying attention to who's talking. But yes, communication is definitely needed. What are some more? Let's hear some more.
I would say it's win-win situation.
Yes, who said that? Stephen? Yes. So win-win or no deal. Why do you think win-win or no deal stands out as being kind of like the pinnacle of negotiations? Excuse me. Well, think about it. If we don't have a win-win situation, do we have a deal?
No.
No.
Why?
Because one person in that bargaining table will feel they lost and they
Yeah.
won't be happy. So we want to
Yes.
make sure that both sides feeling win.
Yes, exactly. Guys, it's one-sided. If it's one person feels like they kind of trump the deal, then we don't have a win-win. So yes, it's win-win, no deal. And as a Keller Williams agent, you're always working to find that win-win situation for all parties. So being kind, fair, professional, and doing all those things, you have the best chance of reaching an agreement that best fits your clients. Finding common ground, that means with your clients, a co-op agent, and all the different parties, is what you want to gain from that transaction. So never forget that you are building a relationship with all parties first, okay? So just keep that in mind. You want to build a relationship with all parties. And also keep your emotions under control. I know sometimes during negotiations, it's really easy to get, I'm a high D. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm kind of like, what do you call that? Dominant or driver. I'm a driver. I'm just like a doer. So I have to oftentimes let the other side present their information first. And that kind of gives me time to kind of calm my emotions down so I can be able to constructively move forward in the deal. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next slide. So in the last Ignite session, you learned about offers. If you took that one, hopefully you did. Simplified. When an offer is accepted, it moves through a process toward a close. So take a look at that diagram. It's kind of like a mini flow chart. However, it is not usually simple. If an offer is rejected or countered, we negotiate with the other side to reach a win-win for everyone. It's important to note that every transaction is unique. So negotiation is will not always happen at this point of the transaction. Who's had a transaction where like the counter has happened later in the deal? Or not, the negotiations happen towards the end? Has anyone like ran into that? No? Okay, well, that's good. Remember, to get to this point, you have already lead generated. You've gotten into a relationship with your lead. through follow-up to get the appointment and get the agreement signed. Then when you go on to get your buyer qualified, you showed them homes. Or if you're looking at it from the listing agent point of view, you've helped your client make choices that best showcase their home, and you're going to be able to market their home in the best light. To get to this point of the transaction, there has to be a lot of time, money, and effort invested if you're looking at it from the listing agent side. You shouldn't lose a deal because your negotiation skills were not up to par. So today we're going to focus on establishing your negotiation skills so that you can close with confidence and win-win. Okay, does anybody have questions about that little flow chart up there? Some of you newer agents, like, do you guys know those different steps about offer, accept, reject, counter, all of those things? Hopefully you learned that from the last session. So let's go on to the next slide. Who you negotiate with. So I want you to look in your participants guide if you don't have it open. I'm not sure what page it's on. I don't know if it's page 14. But it's going to look like it's going to have this little infographic on it. So on one side, you have your clients and the agent on the other side of the transaction. And then you see this line of demarcation and you see the buyer, buyer's agent, seller's agent, and seller. So first, who do you think you negotiate with? Who wants to just shout out? I'm going to grab some water.
You negotiate
Your
with
client.
your client. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes. All of you are right. You all get a point. Yes. Your clients. I mean, they're sometimes the most difficult people to negotiate with because we're constantly negotiating with them through the entire transaction that, you know, we can do this, right? So number one, your clients. Who's the second group that you're negotiating with?
The other agent.
The agent on the other side of the transaction. Exactly. So you're always negotiating with your clients and the other agent on the other side. And don't forget that this is in your career. If you continue to conduct business, especially in this area, in the same market, you're gonna encounter working with the same agents multiple times, and you're gonna build a reputation for yourself and maybe even have a reputation for the other agents that you're working with. So be sure to just keep that in mind. So now that you know who you negotiate with, what do you think gets negotiated in the transaction? Let's have some different people. Let me look in the group here. Some of you guys are quiet. What else gets negotiated in the transaction? It's not just the offer. What else?
It's the moving close of escrow, whether you need, again, that is a part of the actual offer.
Mm-hmm.
Close of escrow, if the seller needs rent back, those
Yeah.
are the terms, how much time, whether it's 30 days, 60 days, and what are the terms for the rent back. That is part of offer, but in addition to that, it could be the appliances in the property, whether they are, the seller is ready to leave it, or if the buyer needs to pay for those.
Yeah, exactly, Vishali. You hit the nail on the head. Exactly. So it's not just price and terms. Well, I guess this is a part of terms. I didn't hear an appraisal though. Have you guys ever negotiated an appraisal? Maybe you haven't.
But
Mhm.
it's many times since last 2 years, most of the offers were non-contingent in this area. So
Right.
the appraisal
And-
contingencies were waived.
Yeah, I mean, I remember back in 17, market was really starting to heat up, pick up. Appraisals were negotiated. I mean, if a home went, 200, 300K over, and, the value in that area hadn't caught up to the market, I do remember some, experience appraisals being negotiated. And sometimes it depends on the market again. But yes, Vishali, to your point, there are multiple things that can be negotiated besides just the price or the terms. There could be, you know, the rent back, appliances, a home warranty. I mean, there's multiple things. So if we could look at our next slide. So the common points of negotiation. The most common points of negotiation fall between two categories, either pricing or terms. We kind of just touched on that. Pricing is usually a primary factor to the negotiations and is all about the cost of the property. Terms are the financial time-based or both. Both it can be, different examples can be closing costs, closing dates, repairs, etc. We forgot that big one, repairs. Oh my gosh, that's a huge negotiating point. So what are some others that you guys can think of? I know we touched on quite a few, but there are still quite a few others too. I think I heard, we already said rent back, household furniture, home warranty. I think I mentioned that. Earnest money deposit. It's not as common, but you know, it happens. So let's take like 30 seconds to think about some misconceptions around pricing versus terms. So let's kind of take a moment and get the, you know, our creative mental juices flowing. If you guys can think of some misconceptions around pricing versus terms. And then let's share.
Yeah. Pricing
So-
versus, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, one at a time.
Oh, I was just saying that I think cash buyers always thought that they can beat others because they're all cash. They have no contingency, short-term close. But sometimes I think, you know, price is always the issue for cash buyers.
Right. Yeah. Stephen brought up a great point. So cash doesn't always win. I mean, sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. It really depends on what the seller's looking for and, you know, their terms, right? Someone else had something. I thought someone was getting ready to talk.
Yeah, it was me, Vishali again. So I wanted to bring the similar topic between price and terms. It could be the close of escrow days, even if there are, say, all offers are, they require mortgage, they are non-cash offers. The term could be the number of days you are closing. It could be a winning point too, between two offers, if they are priced differently.
Correct. Yeah, I mean, I remember, I think it's kind of a common misconception here in the US that, oh, if I'm paying all cash, I get a huge discount and, you know, you're getting all cash. And sometimes that just doesn't work for sellers. You know, they're willing to wait, you know, a little bit longer or have a longer escrow if they're getting all of their terms and the right price. So I think it's really important that we understand when we're speaking with our clients what they're really wanting. So I went on a listing appointment on last Friday, and the seller was kind of telling me like, oh, I want, you know, 4.5 for this. And I'm like, okay, what is so important? And my questions are always very, you know, direct. So what is important about 4.5 in your situation? What is important about that number? And long story short, when we got to the end of the conversation, I had to change the way I asked the questions to him. And I said, how much do you want to net from this sale? And that completely changed his point of view about how he saw that number, the 4.5. That was no longer important to him. It was like, okay, I just need this amount, and this amount is what is going to get me to take the next step with you. So I think it's really key to like ask certain questions of your client, and sometimes you have to dig really deep to get the answer that you're looking for. So great. So next slide. So ahas, I know that was a bunch of information. Let's hear some things you learned. I know that was kind of like, I know you guys learned something in the last few minutes. Well, I'll tell you something that I knew this, but it was great to hear it again, is just about looking at our micro market is, you know, certain offers we tend to think are going to just win when sellers may be looking at, you know, a different type of offer, or they may be looking at different price and terms. So I've learned that I need to, with my buyers, look at things differently and not get rid of that old thinking that I had in the previous markets, and shift and readjust my thought process to this current market, because this current market is different. I mean, I think we can all agree that this market is different than what we've seen in the past, you know, couple of years, right? So I've learned to sort of adjust my thinking and negotiation skills to match this market. Does anybody have anything else? Okay, great. So let's look at today's agenda. First, you've learned what can be negotiated, pricing terms. Now we're going to learn how you can model that and use this through your negotiations. So this model is called the 3 Ps of negotiation. Next slide. So in your participants guide, if you're using that to follow, turn to the 3 Ps approach page, and you can look there and follow with us. So negotiation is the skill that anyone can learn and can be perfected with experience. The best practice you can follow is the 3 Ps of negotiation: prepare, present, and position. At a high level, this model is prepare, which is preparation is key to build confidence and ensuring a smooth negotiation process. I think Mai mentioned that in the beginning. She said, do research before you buy a car. Present, move into the negotiation process by presenting your offer. 3 is position, move both parties closer until you have a full agreement. So through this next section, we're going to go in depth into each of these 3 pieces and spend more time practicing and role modeling each step. If you still need more practice after today's session, feel free to use some time. You can reach out to me, you can reach out to someone on your team or our market center, and we can do more partner practice. So next slide. So the first P is prepare. Details the actions and the steps that you will take before entering negotiation. To prepare, you will need, number 1, to know your goal. Have a clear goal of reaching a win-win agreement in both a buyer and where both the buyer and the seller are satisfied with the outcome of the negotiation. Remind your client of the motivation for moving to buy a house, and that when the contract closes, they'll be able to move on with their lives. So we want to keep that in the back of their head, especially guys when they get cold feet, okay? And they start wanting to pull out of the negotiation, or, oh, we want to wait till everything cools down. This is a good time for you to say, you know, you did mention you want to be moved by spring. The kids are going to be out of school. You know, let's look at some more homes. Let's look at this. Let's look at that. Know your client. Make sure you fully understand your client's goals. Learn the areas in which they are willing to negotiate and where they stand firm. If a non-negotiable is, you know, we have to have a single family home, then you're not going to go showing them condos, right? or they have to be 5 minutes from their job because they don't have a car, we're not going to show them homes that are 30 miles away, right? Where they want to be closer to their job. Think ahead. Anticipate what the other party tends to get out of the negotiation. What do they want out of this? Write down what you think and how they may counter and how you can handle it. So that's something I said in the very beginning. You know, we want to anticipate their next move so that we know how to best respond to that. Great. So next slide. Oops, mine's not going to the next slide. Oh, this is continuation, sorry. 4, set clear expectations. Sorry, you can go back one. Set clear expectations prior to meeting with the other party. Set clear and realistic expectations when you meet. Then under promise and over deliver. I know you guys have heard that before. Stress the importance of moving quickly to create a sense of urgency. Part of setting clear expectations with your client is being clear with the win-lose argument and knowing that it could be likely rejected, the offer could be likely rejected on the other side. To set yourself up for success, make it a win-win. So just be honest, guys, be transparent. I think transparency is key. You know, don't set your client up for, oh yeah, we're the best, we're the highest, you're gonna get this house. You know, just be very realistic with them. Hey, there's 4 other offers on the table and we need to be really competitive. Be informed, number 5. Before making an offer or counter offer, it's good to practice to speak with 2 other agents. Ask open-ended questions and use effective listening to find out how much you can about the other party and their agent. This helps you know with whom you are negotiating and what points you will negotiate and where your clients have leverage. So how many of you guys kind of have a discussion with the listing agent if you're representing the buyer? How many of you guys call the listing agent before you submit an offer?
Always try to call, but sometimes the listing agent are preoccupied with other agents calling them too. And again, it was during pandemic time when we had 40, 50 offers presented for a property.
Sure. So it's always a good, yeah, Vishali, yeah. It sometimes you won't get in contact with them, or sometimes they say don't call, you know, in the remarks on the MLS. I've seen some listing agents like, just submit the offer, your highest and best, don't call me, I don't want to talk to you. In those cases, it's good to do your market research, talk to your client, make sure you understand what they are looking for, and make sure they have all the information they have to write a strong offer. And before you submit your offer, you can always, you know, reach out to the listing agent via email if you're not getting a hold of them by the phone, and maybe just ask to have, you know, a short, brief discussion with them that you want to get to know, that, you know, you just build that rapport with them. So be informed. So 6, obey the laws. Every state and locality have their own set of laws that regulate zoning, mortgage qualification, and other real estate matters. Stay current on your local regulations, stay out of court. Number 7 is know the documents inside and out. Become familiar with your local board of realtors governing forms and take the time needed to understand templates. That's really key, especially when it comes to HOA documents. You can't just say, here, buyer, read your HOA documents. You have to know what is in them, read through the minutes. I know it's like, you know, you're studying to be a lawyer. It's so much like information and documentation. It's really important that you understand those, because something could pop up or arise. And if you're not privy to it, then it's going to cause even more doubt, or maybe doubt in your client initially about you representing them. So just make sure that you understand and you know all the information up front to be able to provide them with that. So the next slide is, okay, so in your participants guide, turn to purposeful questions. So this is about asking purposeful questions. Understanding the right questions to ask is important in the negotiation process, and being able to prepare in the most comprehensive way. Asking questions allows you to establish and uncover objectives and goals of your clients and those on the other side of the transaction. By asking questions, you can gain more information. As you gain more information, you can strengthen your ability to negotiate and increase your chances of having a win-win negotiation. Benefits of asking questions. Number one, up there on the infogram, it provides you with points you will negotiate on, provides insight on where you and your clients will have leverage. 3, it sets clear expectations. 4, it allows you to know your client and their goal. And then it helps you to learn how you can make it a win-win negotiation for both parties. So who can just either raise their hand or shout out, what are some questions you can ask, some purposeful questions? What do you ask your buyers when you're writing an offer with them? Besides, how much do you want to offer? Do you have your EMD? Give me your offer letter. It's like, what do you ask your clients? Does anybody have? I know you guys have purposeful questions because you guys are writing offers. So how about why are we offering this? Why would you like to offer this price, and what is important to you about this price? What and where questions, or when questions, open-ended questions, are going to be good, purposeful questions. So we want to make sure that we're asking not surface level questions, and that we're really diving deep to understand your client. Who has some more? I know you guys have more.
Hey, Sarah, quick question for you.
Hey, Lauren.
Using your example, like, the one you just said, why you want to, the buyers, why you want to set that price for the offer. So, I had a client that in the past that says, oh, I just don't think, the answer was, I just don't think it's worth that much. I mean, it wasn't super low, but
Sure,
it was lower than the listing price. And that answer obviously is vague, is broad. So what would you respond to that question, or to that answer?
Sure. And thanks for speaking up, Warren. So why is that important? What is important about that number? Why is that important to you? Why is 500,000 important to you? Because there's a reason why they're wanting that number. It's not just because they feel that the value is there. There's a reason, and that reason, once they uncover that, once they say, oh, well, I just think it's worth that, then that's for you, going back to the research that we do up front, beforehand, is to provide the comparables, right? Well, great, Mr. Client, that's great that I can understand why you feel that way. However, the comparables in this neighborhood are producing 550, 650, and 575. So, how important is getting this home? How important is it for you to get this home? It may not be. I mean, that kind of shows a lack of motivation. If somebody's wanting to offer, or, there's this thing called like extremes, right? There's like a spectrum. And this is where we kind of pre-qualify our clients. And I don't want to go off into a rabbit hole. I just think it's really important when we're sitting down, when I sit down in a consultation with the buyer, I'm very upfront with my expectations about, number one, their goals. What is your goal? And how soon do you need to be there? What's the timeline? And when can we get started? That's really the 3 things that I ask. And if I'm not getting answers where I feel that they're really serious about it or they're motivated, then I'll kind of put them as a B or C buyer, and they're not going to be my A buyer that I'm spending majority of my time, because buyers take a lot of time of our time. We know that, right? And they're very emotional. So I think back to your point, asking those very direct questions, you know, what is it? Why is this amount important to you? And then after, if they give you another just kind of vague answer, well, because I think so, then I would just show them the comparables in the area. And if the comparables support your argument, then they're, you know, then that should really be the answer that they need. And if you can ask more questions and kind of determine if they're motivated, I think that's going to be key as well. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Great. So yeah, it's asking questions. Sometimes you have to be repetitive, and sometimes you have to ask at different times. I know sometimes if I'm working with a client, especially it's been buyers, it's been several months, I'll kind of go back to their motivation. Well, you know, you guys initially told me that you wanted to be moved by April, and, you know, this is your price range and this is where you want to stay. What has changed since then? And then I'm writing down, oh, well, we really want to be over here now, and this school district isn't so bad anymore. And so you just want to check in, and sometimes you'll have to ask several questions over and over. So great. Next slide, moving right along. So open and closed questions. See, this kind of segued right into our next thing here. So at a basic level, there are two types of questions. There's open-ended and closed-ended questions. Open-ended questions, they're questions that are have an unlimited response. So again, using what additional information, what is important about closing in 30 days? How do you feel about that? Close-ended questions, they're questions that evoke like a single response, like a yes or a no. One word. So do you have to sell your home by a specific date? And that's a yes or no. Do you have any other offers? Yes. What is the bottom line price that you will consider? Whatever, you know, X amount. So you really want to stay away from close-ended questions. So why do you think it's beneficial to why do you think it's beneficial to ask open-ended questions as you're preparing for the negotiation?
Because I think you would discover more about your clients by asking open-ended. They'll share with you more information about themselves.
Yeah, you can uncover things that you may not even know. If you're asking, when do you need to, I'll use a listing appointment because I tend to do more listings. If I ask a seller, you know, when do you need to be sold by? And they say, oh, May 30th. And I go, okay, May 30th. And I'm not asking why. And, you know, obviously preparing a home, even if it's, you know, going to be off market, you need at least a good 30 days to get things going and prepare a home. So if I'm not asking those other questions, then I'm doing a disservice to myself and to my client. Okay, so does anybody else have any open-ended questions that they use? No? How about with your buyers? When you're, what are some open-ended questions when they come back with their pre-approval letter and they're ready to write an offer? Let's just use a quick scenario. And property's $1 million and their pre-approval is for 800,000. But they want this $1 million home. How do we negotiate with them to keep them still working with us, still looking in the right, you know, keeping them on the right path? And how do we adjust expectations there? If they're looking at properties that are not in their price range and they're pre-qualified to get a home, it's just not in their price range. What do we ask our clients? Because again, we're negotiating every day with our clients. How do we negotiate with them, and what do we ask them to set them back on track?
Ask them how much down payment they prepare to put down.
Oh, if they have a down payment of, let's say they have a down payment of only 150K.
Do have ask them if they do have other source of down payment for, you know, to make up for the to
What if
make
they
up
say,
to 200.
oh, that's okay, that's okay, we want to just offer lower. We can offer lower, right?
Right, that's good.
Okay, we can write it for, let's only write it for 900, because it, you know, we could just see what, we can see if they can, they'll bid us up, right? If we write it for 900, it's worth $1 million, but you know, we don't really think it's worth $1 million.
Do you think if it's worth your time to give them a try? I mean, if you think they're loyal buyers, I would let them try at their price point, but at the same time set the expectations. Hey, I'm telling you, this is not going to work out, but you know, I would love to have you try this time. If they fail, they understand the market is not there yet, and then you later tell them, hey, you know, let's go back and then try to look at properties within your price range. That's what I usually do.
Yeah, I'm going to be the buyer. I'm role playing the buyer. Okay, well, yeah, we can do that. We just really love this house, and it's been sitting on the market for 40 days. So we think we can maybe write an offer for, you know, 900, and we can maybe go as high as 950, but we don't want to write it for 1 million. Well, let's just write the offer. Can you just put in the offer? See what we get?
That's fine. I mean, I will try my best to, you know, talk to a listing agent and see how the interest level goes, and then see if there's a chance that we can make something happen.
Okay. Okay, so great. So Stephen, how did you feel about that? Does that work?
I mean, so I know most of times they don't work, right? We as agents, we both know that most of times, you know, it don't work, but sometimes it works. And then if it worked, then your buyer will be super happy, right? But if it doesn't work, you already tell them, hey, that's the expectation of the seller, of the listing agent. If it doesn't work, then we just move on and try something else.
Okay. Yeah, great. So great. That's great to take a real life situation, because we know, and yes, that's happened to me. I'm sure that's happened to Stephen several times, where we have a client who they don't know what they don't know. And they see something they want to put an offer in, and they don't understand how negotiations work. And that's when it's our job to step in as the real estate professional and the real estate expert and say, look, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I understand you love this house, and you know, you're ready to write an offer in it and move in, and you know, what else? My goal is to get you into a home, as you said, by April in this price range, right? We agreed to that, right? Let's look for homes in this price range. There's more coming on the market. You know, it's going to allow us to have negotiation room once we do get into contract. Because right now, if we submitted an offer, you know, I just had a conversation with the listing agent. The seller is not going to go lower than $1 million. I value my time and I value your time. And if they're really very adamant about it, sometimes it just takes you writing that offer and they have to learn that hard lesson. You know, sometimes it's just about, it's a part of the process. It's all a learning process. So great. Awesome. So I kind of lost track. Oh, we're here at the what and why questions. So we went over open and ended. Let's go to the next slide. Sorry about that. We got caught in a little role play there. Okay, what and why? So let's dig into some specific questions. We kind of went over them that can help you learn about your client's needs and create a focus on a negotiation. So 2 options can be, what would happen if? Oh, I love this statement. What would happen if? So what would happen if you didn't get this home? What would happen if we won this home? What would happen if, you know, that's the perfect lead into. And why is that important to you? My next favorite. So asking these questions help you gain more information and insight into the previous question. So let's kind of see how that works in a real world role play. So we can do just a quick one right here. If someone just wants to speak up, that's fine. Let's see, here's the scenario. Let me get my screen on it. Okay, so let's turn to the page that says prepare on your scenario page in your participants guide. So now that we've covered the first P, prepare, let's see how you can apply it, just what you learned. So let's see, we're not going to go into groups. So as a group, we're going to do the scenario here. And together, we're going to go over the clarifying questions you would ask your client. And keep in mind, everything you just learned is about open and closed-ended questions. So really focus on that. So we're just going to do this as a group. Let's see. So take action scenario. So I don't have the participants guide. Does someone want to read it? Or maybe you guys can do it. If you guys wanted to, 2 people from the group. Who has their participants guide? I don't have a copy. I just have a facilitator's guide. Anyone can, we're doing it as a group, but I would really prefer, you guys get more out of it than me sitting up here talking at you. So I think if 2 of you guys want to jump in and role play that scenario in the participants guide on the prepare scenario page. Don't be shy.
I think they only give you the scenario, but there's no like role play option.
Oh, there's no like actual, oh, got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just make up a role play. Let's make up one then. So who wants to be the buyer? Or actually, I'll be the buyer. I want somebody else to be the agent. Because you'll get, who wants to be the agent and I'll be the buyer? And then you ask me the questions. I can pick someone. I prefer. Robbie. Let's see, who hasn't? Robbie, do you want to go? Can you unmute yourself? Okay, no, Robbie. What about Leon? Leon? I'll just go down the list here. Shan, Susan. Warren.
Okay, what happened?
We're doing a scenario. So I'm
Go.
I'm the buyer, you're the agent, and you're asking me you're asking me questions. This is something everybody should want to do, actually.
Okay, you're the buyer, I'm the agent. So question will be,
So let me give you a scenario real quick. So we're sitting down to write an offer, and it's on a property that I want to offer a little bit less. I'm pre-qualified. Let's say a property's $1 million. I'm pre-approved for a property that can go up to 1.5. I want to offer only 900K. And the market right now is producing over $1 million for properties that similar properties. So you're my agent, and you're asking me open-ended questions. And what are those questions going to be? To learn more about why I'm offering this price, and learn more about how to prepare.
Hi, Sarah. Obviously, given the comp I presented, the price that we've seen so far is around $1 million or so. So obviously, you like to offer at the $900,000 range. Can you give me a reason why that price is important for you? Let me know.
Yeah, and the interest rates just went up, and I'm hearing that these hikes there's gonna be like 2 more hikes from the Fed. So I just, I've been seeing a lot of homes selling for, under the asking price. So I don't wanna offer any more than 900 right now. I'm comfortable with that.
All right, that sounds great and all. Now, is this home that you see yourself in? And now, how important is this home? I mean, how important is this home that you did not win or did not win in this case?
I mean, I really like it. We've been looking for like almost a year. So this is when we really found, and my son likes the backyard, and the schools are good. So yeah, we really want the house.
All right. Now, obviously, given that you've been in the market for quite some time now. So the thing is, if this checks all your boxes and you are firm on the price, we can definitely give it a try. But just as an agent, to kind of inform you that I want you to get into the house, get into this home that you see, check all the boxes. But at the same time, I don't want you to get disappointed if you don't win. So the goal is, if that's something that you are firm with the price, we can definitely give it a try. But just kind of repeat that, given the comp nearby in the last 30 day, 45 day, it's around $1 million range. Is this something that you truly thinking about offering at the $900,000 range?
Yeah, I mean, because we can always, like, if they want to bid us up, we can just like counter and, do that whole thing, right?
Yes, we can. Obviously, given the traction, I'll be checking with the listing agent regarding the traction, the disclosure. Now, if there are a lot of competition, we may or may not have the option to even counter back if they don't even consider our offer. So that's kind of the reason why we are having this conversation, for me to make sure that you are comfortable with that price, and that you are comfortable with not getting that property if that comes down to be the case. So is that something you will reconsider, or is it something that you are gonna move forward with?
Well, now that you say that, let's just offer 950. That's my max, so 950.
All right. Now, if we want to go up to 950, that thing still sounds great. Now, if needed, I can definitely talk to the listing agent more, and see where we stack up in terms compared to other offers. And I'll get back to you in terms of where you stand, and hopefully, we'll make changes as we go. Does that sound okay to you?
Okay, yeah, just let them know that we really, really like the house. Yeah.
All right, we'll definitely try whatever we can to hopefully get you in this house.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Warren. Okay, so just real quickly, what are some of the things Warren did that were great? 'Cause he did a lot of great things. Who can shout out?
He
So-
repeated himself several times regarding
Yes.
expectation for the client per that price that they initially wanted to offer, so that they and also he put in more information about the market so that the client had a better picture of her situation, and therefore she needed to go up on her price.
Yes, so he upfront presented information. He handled my objection of, I only want to offer 900K so well that I even said, okay, I'm going to go up to 950. Okay, so he was able to ask me, or he was able to, like, thank you, is it May?
Yes.
I'm sorry, Mai. Just like what Mai said, he set the expectation up front. What would happen if we didn't get the home? If that's okay, like, is that okay if this home that you've been looking for over a year for, if you didn't get it simply because you wanted to put in a lowball offer? And then he went on to say, I believe he said, he always was in agreement. Like he never said, oh, no, you're wrong. We're not doing that. That's not going to work. He was always in agreement with me, which means he kept rapport with me. And I never felt like he wasn't on my side. Yet I knew that what he was telling me was, he was being transparent. And, he told me something that actually made me want to change my price. So great job, Warren. And you repeated your question. Sometimes it takes 2 or 3 times to get through to that person. So great job. So we're going to keep the flow of the class and keep moving forward because we have some more information to go through. So we're going to look at present. Oh, someone have something?
Yeah, just Warren again. I'm just curious from my point of view, in your opinion, what are things that I should do better?
Well, I think you did a great job of asking those open-ended questions about, digging deeper to see the motivation. I also think you did a great job of asking, why is it important to you? Why is that number important to you? It's always good to have, like I said earlier, that supportive information showing some people. I mean, we're working with a lot of engineers, a lot of high C personality traits who like to see things in numerical terms, like they want to see the numbers, the comps. I would say just having those comparables, before you meet with them, look at the comparables. Right now, the market, this just sold, the market hasn't yet caught up to this. So it's really important that we offer within the price that's going to help you win this home, because that is what you want. So I think just reiterating that, and like you said, speaking with the listing agent. So yeah, I think, you did really great with the handling that objection, because those get thrown all the time to us. Okay, let's look at the present. Let's go to the next slide. Okay, so let's see. So turn to the present best practices page in your participant guide. Now that you've understood how to prepare the stage, let's talk about the second stage, present. Let's go over some best practices, and keep in mind when presenting to the co-op agent, to the co-op agent, period. Your participant's guide has more detail for you to refer back to. So some of the best practices are, you want to call the other agent, pay attention to the non-verbal cues like pauses and changes in the voice quality. Oftentimes we like to get on the phone and just ask questions. instead of kind of listening to the intonation and the sound, if their voice drops, or if it's really high, or if it kind of sounds like they're maybe being a little dubious on the other end. So listen to their voice changes. Keep quiet once you present an offer. Okay, I'm going to repeat that, because keep quiet after you present an offer. Listen carefully to what is important to the other party. Stay calm and relaxed. Focus on the customer's needs. Give your offer the best chance. Do any of you guys, it's just out of my own curiosity, when do you guys usually submit an offer? If you know there's multiple offers, you've called the agent, when do you submit the offer? Do you submit it right on the deadline? Like if it's due at Wednesday at 5 p.m., do you submit it right at that time, or when do you submit it? This is just for my own curiosity. Does anybody submit theirs later than the deadline? And if so, why?
Unless there is any technical issue, otherwise before deadline, because we want to respect the time the agent has set.
Okay, that's a good perspective. I just like to hear when agents submit their submit their offers. I think it's good. It's a good opportunity to kind of see what is important about when offers are submitted. I just had a little story. I had a listing back in 2017, and it was a really rundown fixer. And this was back when the market was just going crazy bonkers. I listed it at 598, and everyone had offered, all the offers I had received when I set a deadline were around 700K. And then the next day I received one for almost 800K. And it just kind of struck me, and anytime I receive, the last offer is usually the strongest, just from a listing side. So I don't know if that's going to be something that is going to help your offering or not. I'm not, and again, I'm not saying that's always the best way. I'm just saying, in my experience, when I'm reviewing offers with my client, there's usually that one that's later than the others that's really, really strong. And that person has like contacted me and built that rapport, and so just
but again, it depends on when the listing agent is going to present offers to the seller.
Yeah, I mean, it's all, like I said, it all depends. But I was just giving an
sure.
experience. All right, so let's go to the next one, position. All right, so now that we've covered the first two pieces of the three-piece approach, we're going to get ready to look at the third, position. Positioning is about moving both parties closer until there is total agreement. When you are engaged in this third step, you will, number one, acknowledge the common ground. You are looking for places where the buyer and the seller are in agreement. This also helps uncover areas that can be adjusted versus ones that are set in stone. So what's a condition versus what is a condition versus what are those things we have? Oh my God, it starts with a C. Contingency, thank you. That was like, I was thinking condition, thank you, Vishali. So what is a condition, which is something that is set in stone, and then a contingency, which can be flexible. Then use what and how questions. These specific types of questions will help you better understand the parties on the other side of the table. So in your participant guide, they have some more of those examples. Understand that this is a process. So sometimes you'll have to go back and forth multiple times to come to an agreement. Remember the WI4C2TES. Know when to walk away from a deal when it's not going to be a win-win without damaging any relationships. So that's really key too, guys. Like, you know, we don't want to stay in something that we know it isn't going to work for both parties. So it's best to just walk away. Okay, so the next one, I'm going to skip this scenario because I want to get through the information. And I think we've ran a few. So let's go to the ahas. Does anybody have any questions? I know we kind of went through that quickly. Does anyone have any ahas? It doesn't have to be a question. It can be sharing an experience. I'm going to grab some water. Does anyone have any questions about how to prepare, what questions to ask? How to present?
Yeah, I have one question. So for the purposeful question, like, is there like a list of purposeful question we can look up? Or how do we like come up with question from the client background?
So that's a great question, Min. There used to be in KW Connect, or maybe it's on our community page at Keller Williams here at Thrive. There used to be a buyer consultation, like a template, where they have, excuse me, questions that you ask. I also have what's called a buyer lead sheet and a listing lead sheet that I use that have those very pertinent questions. It doesn't have all of the layered questions like, why is that important to you? You can add those. It's definitely good to have like a lead sheet, I would say, of some sort. And I believe there should be resources, if I'm not mistaken, through KW Connect or through, like I said, maybe your market center's buyer consultation template. Do they, if they have something like that available? Do you have something like that at your market center?
Not sure. I have to look at it.
I would get in touch with the director of agent services, who's Alexa. I think she would know how to where the resources are. I'm a little rusty on where everything is because it's been changing so quickly. But that's a good question.
All right, thank you.
Yes, and I'll drop my information in the chat too at the end, and you guys can contact me if I'm not able to answer your question during this session. But I just want to make sure I get through. So we may have run a little bit slightly over time. So let's see, we were at the ahas. Does anybody have any other ahas? If not, let's go to negotiation tips. We're getting into the meat and potatoes of it. Okay, so let's see. So again, turn in your participant guide to negotiation tips page. It is important to remember that negotiating is a skill that is learned and practiced when using the 3 Ps approach. Please keep these things in mind. So above all else, be professional. Remember your goal, a signed contract, right? This is what you're driving towards, and this is what both agents and their clients have in mind. Number 3, control what you say to anyone involved in the transaction. If you create anxiety in your client or other parties, then you're reducing your leverage in negotiations. 4 is continually refer to motivation. Remind your client why they intend to buy, sell, and help them reevaluate their requests if they are becoming unreasonable. Number 5, don't reveal too much. So less is more here, guys. Listen more than you talk. Keep your client's motivation close to your chest. Don't be attached to the outcome. So if it doesn't go your way, don't, mull over it. You can't get everything you want for your client's needs. So be sure to set that expectation up front. Don't let it affect your mindset. If a deal doesn't go through to your client, then make sure that you make it a win for your client. And sometimes if you feel like you're losing your client, you guys, and it's just not the right match, offer a referral to them. Hey, I have this other agent who's really great, who I'd like to introduce you to. Just be sure that you're always making it a win-win, okay? So do you think there's anything else that should be covered with that? Or with that slide? Is there any other things that you guys have that you'd like to talk about and go over? I know that was all of it in a nutshell. We can go to the ahas slide. Okay, so let's look at the ahas to achievement. So I want to hear on the next slide here. So each day in Ignite, you guys are taking these classes, you're getting all this information, you're like, okay, now what? Like, how do I implement this into my business? How is this, what's important and what's not really important? So I really want you to take time, especially after this course, because this is probably the meat and potatoes of what you do and the importance of you being a really good, it sets you aside from what's a mediocre agent and who's a really good agent. I want you to take the time to kind of reassess how you think and you feel and you act, and make sure that you are implementing the things that we've gone over today. I know even if you're a newer agent and you're like, what should I be doing every day? This is something that it's good to implement into your daily practice. I want to ask you guys, if you can, also write things down, write as much as you can down, and make sure that you're doing your practice. So I just want to know, has anyone's thinking changed from today's course? The way you think about negotiations. Has it gotten better? Has it gotten worse? Are you confused? Where are you? Do you feel more, raise your hand if you feel, your virtual hand you can raise. Do you feel more comfortable knowing what to do? Thumbs up. Awesome. Is there any other like sharing items that you guys wanted to add, or any experiences that could help the group? Since there's a lot of new faces that I don't recognize, or I guess names I haven't seen before. Does anybody have any like directly related experiences to negotiations? Well, I'll tell you, just from negotiating and starting from as a new agent, it took me a couple of times before I really felt comfortable being able to kind of have that confidence in front of your client. And I will suggest role playing with another agent to role play your scripts, your consultations, your listing presentations, because you don't want to practice on your client. Role play these types of things, role play these negotiations, just make up a scenario. It could be about anything real estate related, and just go over it with someone. And how does this sound? And how do I sound? Does my voice start shaking when I start talking about price? Or do I look down, or am I looking up, or am I projecting too much? You really want to, it's a lot of it is your nonverbal language. Those resonate a lot, and people can feel when you're being genuine. People can feel when you actually know what you're talking about, and people can tell when they're being BS'd. So I think if you get anything from this, is to really hone in your skills on what we just covered and pick exactly what questions you're going to ask. That way, those can be the questions you're asking all the time. Your clients aren't going to know the difference. So just some food for thought there. So next slide, I just want to go over again, recap what the daily success systems. All of you, especially, well, all of us should be looking at the 10 conversations. If we could look at that daily success system slide, perfect. Having 10 conversations, adding 10 contacts to your database, 10 handwritten notes, 10-5-1 social media engagement, doing your enrichments, appointments, agreements, closings, All of those things should be keeping you on track with leading to success and building your businesses. So
I'm curious, what is the 10-5-1 social media engagement?
that is something new they added. I believe it's, I'm not, let me look. I'm not sure if it's like 10 likes, 5 comments in one post. That is something brand new that was added. I would definitely touch bases with either Alexa, who is our director of agent services, or Kelsey, who runs our marketing, or even the productivity coaching program. I think it's Travis and Garrett. They may know a little bit more because I don't want to give you misinformation on that, but I know it's definitely about utilizing the social media platforms and your engagement with that. I do want to do one little quick housekeeping thing. Oh, sorry, someone was saying something.
I think it is, I think 10 comments, 5 messages, and 1 post.
There you go. Thank you, Vishali.
Thank you.
So really quickly on the warning, do not call list. If we could go to that slide, this is really important because I used to call expireds. That's how I started my business. Make sure if you're making calls, you have a dialer, that you're not calling any numbers on the do not call list. It's a pretty hefty fine that's associated with that violation, and it's just not worth it. So just a quick housekeeping thing. And then let's go to the next slide about the quote there. So something I want to, as a key takeaway, is the quote here: I engage every conversation in the spirit of contribution, and people are happy to be in relationship with me. This should be a daily affirmation. I don't know if you guys do daily affirmations. I think they're completely useful, and they're so important to just your overall mental health. I do them every morning. I wake up before I do anything else. I do my affirmations, and I think this is a really great one to get started with if you're not already doing that. Role play. Let me check on the time. I'm not sure. I think that this class was supposed to run until 10:30. Is that correct, Abigail?
Yep, that's right.
Okay, so I don't want to hang you guys in here for any much longer. The rest is just role play models. Be sure to make, I do want to emphasize that having a role play partner is crucial to your success. So definitely partner up with someone. And I do want to go down to the prepare for the next session, get to close. So your next session looks like session 19, get to the close. I'm not sure who's going to be teaching that, but be sure to tune into that because I'm sure it's going to be just as great. So thank you so much for letting me speak with you guys. I hope you received just as much out of it. I always get something out of it as being the facilitator. I learned something new each and every time from the participants. Thank you so much if you spoke up and participated. Thank you for being here and taking the time. Again, if you want me to leave my contact in the chat, I can, or you can just reach out to me. Here, I'll just leave it here. If you have questions about getting to be becoming a certified negotiation expert, or I'll put my info. It's something that can take you very far in life, just in general, I think. So thank you again, and good luck with your business. And everybody make it a great day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.